Nerd Reactor, roll out.
What's up, everybody? John here, and it's time to talk about Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. And this is a very different type of movie, a Disney movie that features all types of animation. And so it's one part live action, it's another part 2D looking animation, another part also 2D animation, 3D animation, CG, and you have Chip 'n Dale. They're back. And this is coming from the popularity of the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers animated series. And so for this version, they're actually just actors, chipmunk actors, who was popular during the 90s for the animated series. And what have they been doing now? They've branched off. They're doing their own thing. Chip is now working in the like a 9-to-5 job, and Dale is trying to live a new life as a new version, as a CG version. And later on, they're going to meet up. So you have the traditional 2D Chip, who meets up with a 3D CG animated Dale. So for Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, I had a lot of fun just trying to look at all the different types of Easter eggs, cameos, pop culture references, and the movie's funny. And I think with all these pop culture references, cameos, and Easter eggs, it does bog down the story because there's just so many things to focus on that you lose sight of what the story actually is because you're busy being distracted by this and that. So let's say there's a character walking, there's something on the bottom, there's something on the side, there's something at the top. And it can be overwhelming. And also, I think it also detracts from the main story. So they could have just focused more on just the heart of the story, and then just have all the other things just become just supporting the story. So with Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, it reminds me of Ready Player One. You have Space Jam, A New Legacy. That one has a lot of different Easter eggs and references and cameos. And even Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And so I think with this one, Disney really went all out with these references, cameos, because it's not just Disney stuff, but they reach into things like from Hanna-Barbera to Warner Brothers to DreamWorks to others. Like there's like a lot. So yeah, so for this movie, I'm just surprised that the other studios just being okay with using their properties, intellectual properties. Like, yeah, sure, we'll have these characters be a part of Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. Like, out of all the movies out there, like, who'd have thunk that Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, this movie would have that? And, it also reminds me a little bit like Lego Movie, too, because that one has a lot of different characters. And I think that's, like, the coolest thing about this movie is just looking at who's going to be there, being surprised at what shows up. And with all the characters, they're all fun. Like all the characters, the animated characters are interesting. Like Chip and Dale, it's great seeing them again. It's also fun to see them in a different light, like behind the scenes, who they really are, and their voices are different. But then there are also parts where when they're reliving moments or talking about their Chip and Dale animated series adventures. It's kind of like they do that voice, like the Chip 'n Dale voice from that show. So it's like a little tease. So it's just cool to see, like, it's still paying homage to certain things. And then, you also have characters like the Rescue Rangers. They're back. So you have Monterey Jack, you have Gadget, you have Zipper, but they're not the main characters. They're supporting characters. And the meat of the movie is Chip 'n Dale. And with the story, I don't want to talk too much about the story, but like when you find out like how things are happening, it's pretty funny, especially when you're dealing with. It's kind of like their version of Who Framed Roger Rabbit's villain that deals with animation and things that can scare animated characters. In this version. But yeah, with the story, like Chip and Dale coming together, they're trying to figure out something and help out a friend. And this leads to like a darker path of craziness, weirdness. And I think if they focused more on that, I think it would have been more interesting compared to just having. But yeah, out of all like the stuff that's come out with all these cameos and Easter eggs, I think out of all of them, my favorite is still Ready Player One. I think that still tops the chart of just all these pop culture references and characters. The Lego Movie, so that would be up there too, just like in terms of just the fun, the story, and all that. And so this one, I still had a lot of fun with it, but I just wish that I cared more about the story and the characters. Like, there are moments where it is a bit emotional, but I wanted more of that throughout the film, because you only feel for a certain part in a certain act. Another thing I do love about Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is that this is really a love letter to animation. And so the studio and the writers, director really went all out in trying to get these characters from these different properties, from these different studios, to really showcase, like, this is animation from 2D to 3D to stop motion animation. And, you know, you also have like stuff like live action elements mixed in, like the live action backgrounds. And it also pays homage to like the darker side of things, the darker side of animation. If you watch the movie, you'll get an understanding of what I'm talking about. But yeah, overall, you know, I still had fun with this movie. I love seeing all the different Easter eggs, and I just wish like the story or the writing, like they can focus more on that, on the characters, making you care more about them with the balancing act, instead of bombarding you with a bunch of Easter egg references, pop culture references. And so, yeah, I do want to close with this movie. Like, there's just a lot of nostalgia. And if you're a product of the 80s or the 90s, you would definitely get a kick out of this movie. And especially if you're a Disney fan, you'll get a kick. And if you're even just a fan of animation in general, because it does have other characters outside of Disney, you'll also enjoy this. And it's not even stuff like strictly animation too. Like, sometimes there's like just live action stuff, live action pop culture references, and there's just a lot. This is going to be a lot of fun. Like, this is the type of movie that will require repeat viewing so that you can catch all the stuff that you may have missed the first time. And so, yeah, that's the best thing about this movie. And just the relationship between Chip and Dale, I like that. But yeah, the story does get bogged down with all the other stuff. Those are my thoughts on the movie. Let me know what your thoughts are on the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to this channel. With that said, I'm John, and I'll see you guys next time.